Most of the world feels mapped now. Roads are visible. Signals reach far. Satellite images feel complete. But that sense of coverage breaks down quickly once you enter the jungle. Because deep inside the world's largest rainforests are regions where modern systems simply stop working. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but completely. And once you pass that boundary, the rules change, where access is the first obstacle. Getting into deep jungle regions doesn't feel like travel. It feels like transition. Roads narrow, engines stop, movement slows. In places like the Amazon rainforest, access isn't guaranteed. Here's the first shock. There's no signal, no power grid, no rapid exit. Distance isn't measured in kilometers anymore. It's measured in time and effort. The further you go, the less infrastructure matters. Vehicles that work perfectly on coastal roads struggle here. GPS coordinates become approximate suggestions. Arrival times become estimates that shift by hours. Once you enter, leaving isn't immediate. There's no calling for help, no quick extraction, no backup plan that doesn't involve days of movement. The jungle establishes dependency early. You rely on what you bring. You rely on who you're with. You rely on conditions staying stable. And conditions rarely stay stable when the jungle becomes the system. Inside deep rainforest regions, infrastructure disappears. There are no signs, no fences, no clear paths. Everything that functions here, food, shelter, movement, comes directly from the environment itself. This is true in parts of the Congo Basin. Here's what surprises visitors. The jungle doesn't feel chaotic. It feels organized, just not for outsiders. Navigation follows rivers. Movement follows light. Survival follows knowledge, not tools. Local communities understand patterns that aren't written anywhere. Which trees indicate water nearby? Which sounds signal weather changes? Which paths remain passable during rain? This knowledge isn't cataloged. It's inherited. Outsiders arrive with equipment, maps, compasses, GPS devices, and discover none of them replace understanding. The jungle operates on observation, not documentation. You learn by watching, by listening, by failing quietly and adjusting. There's no instruction manual for environments that shift daily. And then the jungle changes vertically, where the ground is no longer the base. In regions like Papua Rainforest, the jungle isn't just dense. It's layered. The ground is dark and uneven. The canopy becomes the usable space. Here's the shock. Movement doesn't always happen at ground level. Elevation becomes protection. Visibility becomes safety. Distance becomes vertical. The jungle forces adaptation in 3 dimensions. What looks walkable from above becomes impassable at ground level. Roots twist unpredictably. Water pools in hidden depressions. Mud conceals depth. Meanwhile, 20 meters above, the canopy offers routes the ground doesn't. Branches connect. Vines provide handholds. Light reveals direction. Indigenous groups in these regions move vertically by default, not for sport, not for exploration, for efficiency. The ground slows movement. The canopy accelerates it. Elevation also changes what's visible. From below, the jungle feels enclosed. From above, patterns emerge. River directions become clear. Landmarks appear. Distances compress. The jungle rewards those who understand it in layers. If you're interested in places where geography decides how life works and modern systems don't apply, subscribe. This channel explores destinations where the environment sets the rules, where maps stop feeling accurate. On paper, jungle regions look continuous, green, unbroken, uniform. In reality, they aren't. Inside these forests are micro-regions with different rules. Flood zones, elevated ridges, seasonal clearings, impassable growth. Here's what feels unsettling. 2 locations a few kilometers apart can feel completely disconnected. The jungle doesn't allow shortcuts. A river might separate areas that appear adjacent on satellite images. Elevation changes might make direct routes impossible. Vegetation density might force detours lasting days. Maps suggest continuity. Experience proves otherwise. Travelers discover quickly that distance on paper means nothing in practice. A 3-kilometer stretch might take 6 hours, not because of difficulty, because there's simply no straight path. The jungle doesn't accommodate efficiency. It forces engagement with terrain, with obstacles, with reality as it exists, not as it's represented. Even digital mapping systems struggle here. Canopy cover blocks satellite precision. Cloud cover distorts thermal imaging. Seasonal flooding alters geography entirely. What's dry land in July becomes submerged in November. Routes that exist 1 month vanish the next. The jungle remains unmappable in any permanent sense. When human presence feels minimal, in the deepest sections of rainforest, sound behaves differently. Movement is absorbed. Voices don't carry. Silence feels heavy. Human presence exists, but it doesn't dominate the space. Here's the contrast. In cities, land is reshaped for people. In the jungle, people adjust quietly to land. The environment remains in control. Structures built here blend or deteriorate. Wood weathers quickly. Metal corrodes. Paths overgrow within weeks. The jungle reclaims space constantly. Not aggressively, persistently. A clearing carved today narrows tomorrow. A trail walked yesterday fades by next week. Human impact feels temporary because it is temporary. Communities living in these regions understand this. They don't fight the environment. They work within its rhythms. Settlements shift. Structures adapt. Expectations remain flexible. There's no permanence, only continuous adjustment. Visitors expecting stability find none. The jungle teaches impermanence through repetition, where time feels slower by. Nothing in the jungle moves quickly for long. Rain interrupts movement. Growth blocks paths. Heat slows decisions. Here's what visitors notice. Urgency disappears. You move when conditions allow it, not when schedules demand it. The jungle doesn't reward speed, it rewards awareness. Modern life runs on acceleration. Faster travel, quicker communication, immediate results. The jungle removes all of that. Progress happens at the pace the environment permits. Rain halts movement entirely, not because it's uncomfortable, because visibility drops to meters. Heat forces rest, not because of preference, because exertion becomes dangerous. Nightfall ends activity, not because of choice, because navigation becomes impossible. Time stops being a resource you control and becomes a condition you adapt to. Schedules become suggestions. Deadlines lose meaning. Days blur into cycles of light, rain, heat, and dark. This shift feels disorienting initially. Then it feels normal. The jungle doesn't accommodate haste. It operates on biological time. Growth, decay, rainfall, sunlight. Human urgency becomes irrelevant. What matters is observation, patience, response. The jungle teaches rhythm, not speed. Why these places feel unsettling? Most modern places are built on predictability. The jungle removes that. Weather shifts suddenly. Paths vanish. Sound behaves strangely. Visibility collapses. That's why deep jungle destinations feel uncomfortable. Not because they're dangerous, but because they don't accommodate control. Modern infrastructure creates certainty. Roads guarantee routes. Power ensures light. Communication maintains connection. The jungle offers none of this. You can't control when rain starts. You can't guarantee paths remain clear. You can't ensure visibility stays constant. Control evaporates. What remains is adaptation. And for people accustomed to controlling environments, this feels destabilizing. The jungle doesn't respond to intention. It doesn't adjust to preference. It simply exists, indifferent to human expectation. This indifference creates unease. Not fear, exactly. More like disorientation. The mental frameworks used in modern environments don't apply. Planning becomes approximate. Preparation becomes essential. Confidence becomes conditional. You realize quickly that the jungle isn't hostile. It's just completely uninterested in making things easy, where isolation becomes tangible. Deep jungle regions redefine isolation, not as distance from people, but as separation from systems. You might be near communities, near established routes, near human activity. But you're disconnected from the network's modern life depends on no internet, no emergency services, no supply chains. What you have is what you carry. What you know is what you've learned. What you can do is what you're capable of. Help isn't coming. Not because it's refused, because it's logistically impossible. Rescue operations in deep jungle take days to organize. Helicopters can't land. Roads don't reach. Distance stops being theoretical and becomes absolute. This creates a particular kind of awareness. Decisions matter more. Mistakes compound faster. Resources have finite limits. There's no resupply, no backup plan, no external rescue. The jungle enforces self-reliance completely. And for people used to outsourcing problems, calling for help, ordering solutions, accessing services, this feels foreign. The jungle demands capability, not convenience. The jungle isn't empty. It's just uninterested in modern structure. It doesn't punish mistakes harshly. It just doesn't forgive them either. If this video changed how you think about the jungle, subscribe. Because some of the most powerful destinations on Earth aren't defined by landmarks. They're defined by limits. And understanding those limits reveals what geography can still enforce, even now.